Okay, I want you to picture something for a minute. Imagine it's a Tuesday. You're a federal employee.
Right.
Maybe you're carrying mail for USPS. Maybe you're a nurse at a VA hospital or working security for the TSA. You show up, you do your job.
You're proud of your service?
Exactly. But then something happens.
Yeah.
The unthinkable. You get injured on the job. And I don't mean a paper cut. I mean something serious.
Something that takes you out of the game. And that's already a trauma in itself. You know, you're dealing with pain, maybe surgery, all the rehab.
Your whole life gets turned upside down. And while you're at home, just trying to recover, a letter arrives. It's not a get-well-soon card. It's from the Department of Labor. Specifically, the Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, the OWCP.
And that letter right there.
Yeah.
That is the turning point. That is the moment where the wheels can come off completely.
Because it's an order. It's telling you to report to a doctor you have never met.
For something called a Second Opinion Medical Exam, or a SECOP.
And I think most people would just think, okay, another doctor's appointment. I'll go, I'll tell them where it hurts, I'll go home.
Right.
But for today's deep dive, we're looking at a playbook that says that attitude, that, casual approach is actually fatal to your benefits.
It really is. We're basing this on a guide called the SECOP Playbook, and our sources on this are incredibly blunt. They argue that the SECOP isn't really a medical event.
What is it then?
It's a legal event. It's a bureaucracy trying to close a file, and if you don't know the rules of engagement, you are, quite frankly, walking right into a trap.
So our mission today is to decode that trap. We're going to walk through 7 specific mistakes that get federal benefits terminated.
And, more importantly, how to use the rules to fight back.
Because it sounds like just telling the truth isn't enough here.
Sadly, no. The system is adversarial. That's the theme. The whole point of this deep dive is to demystify why that is. The OWCP has a mandate to, manage costs.
So when they send you to a SECOP, they aren't looking for ways to keep paying you.
Not at all. They are looking for objective findings, or, more likely, the lack of them, that justify cutting you off.
It sounds a little bit like an audit. Like the IRS coming for your taxes, but instead of receipts, they're auditing your spine.
That is the perfect analogy. The SECOP.DOCTOR is the auditor. And just like with the IRS, if your documentation isn't perfect, the penalties are severe.
Okay, so let's get into it. The playbook breaks this down, starting with the exam day itself. Mistake number 1. It seems almost too simple, skipping the exam.
You'd be surprised how often it happens if people are in pain, or they get the flu, their car breaks down.
Or they just have anxiety about the whole thing.
Exactly. So they think, oh, I'll just call and reschedule. It's like my dentist.
And I'm guessing the OWCP is a little less forgiving than my dentist.
Just a bit, yeah. The source material is crystal clear here. Failing to attend is seen as obstruction. It's non-compliance.
And the punishment?
Immediate suspension benefits.
Immediate.
Your wage loss checks stop. Your medical coverage is pause. It's the nuclear option. The rule of thumb is unless you are literally hospitalized or there's a death in the family with proof, you get to that exam.
You crawl there if you have to.
You absolutely do.
So showing up is non-negotiable. But that brings us to the appointment itself. This is where it gets tricky. Mistake number 2. Not cooperating fully. This feels subjective. If I'm in pain and a doctor tells me to do something that hurts and I say I can't, am I being uncooperative?
This is a huge, huge friction point. So let's say you have a torn rotator cuff. The SECOP.DOCTOR says, lift your arm over your head.
And you know that's going to hurt like fire.
Right. So you say, no, I can't do that. It hurts too much.
Which seems like a perfectly reasonable response.
In a normal doctor's office, yes. But in a SECOP, the doctor can write that down as refusal to perform the test.
Wow.
And if they report that, you trigger what's called the 14-day window.
Okay, what is the 14-day window?
It means the OWCP sends you a letter. It says, we have a report you obstructed the exam. You have 14 days to explain yourself.
And it hurt is not a good enough explanation.
Almost never. No. Unless there was a valid medical reason the test would be dangerous, not just painful, dangerous, they'll likely suspend your benefits.
So what's the advice from the playbook?
You try. Even if it hurts, you attempt the movement. You let the doctor see the limitation. You let them see you wince. You don't verbally refuse.
They physically demonstrate the limit.
Precisely. You have to be respectful, responsive, even if the doctor is rude, because if you snap, you're just handing them a reason to torpedo your claim.
Which leads right into mistake number 3, underestimating the doctor.
Yeah.
The guide talks about a mindset shift. I think we're all conditioned to trust people in white coats. We think they want to help.
And that is the trap. You have to remember who is paying the SECOP doctor.
It's the OWCP.
It's the OWCP.
Yeah.
And the playbook is clear that these exams are often ordered specifically to find a reason to cut benefits.
So walking in there and treating it like a therapy session, just chatting.
It's a terrible idea. This is a forensic exam, not a therapeutic one. If you walk in and say, you know, I feel pretty good today, just to be polite.
That goes in the report. Patient reports feeling good.
Exactly. Or, and this is a big one, they watch you in the parking lot.
Wait, really?
Oh, absolutely. If you tell the doctor, I can't walk without a cane, but they saw you walk from your car without a limp.
That discrepancy goes right into the report. It kills your credibility.
Kills it.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared. Know your history cold. Review your dates, your symptoms, and this is critical. Do not assume the doctor has read your file.
Even though the OWCP sent it to them.
They send a stack of paper 3 inches thick. The doctor might flip through it for 5 minutes. You have to be your own advocate. You have to say, doctor, as you can see in the MRI from June, you guide them to the evidence.
Okay, so we've survived the exam.
Yeah.
We showed up, we cooperated, we kept our guard up. But the playbook says the danger isn't over.
Not by a long shot.
Now we get to the paperwork phase. Mistake number 4. Weak medical documentation. This feels like the silent killer of a claim.
It is. It's the no news is good news fallacy. In normal life, if you don't hear from your doctor for 6 months, that's great. In the OWCP world,
It means you've abandoned your claim.
it means they assume you're all better. The OWCP needs what they call medical rationale. They need frequent updates that explicitly link your current condition back to that original work injury.
So if my own doctor, my good doctor, stops sending detailed notes,
You're in big trouble. If the notes just say patient continues to have pain without saying why, the OWCP assumes the work injury has resolved and something new is going on.
it's like you have to reprove the injury every single month.
You do. You have to keep that chain of evidence unbroken.
And speaking of unbroken, let's talk about mistake number 6. Refusing return to work opportunities. This is when your employer gets involved, right?
Right. And this is a very high pressure moment. Your boss calls, says, hey, we've got a light duty job for you. Come on back.
And the worker's at home with a bad bag thinking, there's no way. So they just, no, thanks.
And that is the mistake. You cannot simply say no. If you refuse what they call a valid job offer, your wage loss benefits are terminated.
Just
Gone.
case closed, gone.
But what if the job isn't really light duty? What if they say you'll be answering phones, but you know you'll end up moving boxes?
You still don't say no. You take that job offer, the written description of it, to your treating physician.
So the only person who can say no for you
Is your doctor.
Yeah.
It's everything. Your doctor has to write a report saying, my patient cannot accept this job because the requirements exceed their medical restrictions. It shifts it from a personal choice to a medical necessity.
Okay, so now we're at the climax of this whole playbook.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario has happened.
Mm-hmm.
The SECOP doctor says you're fine, the paperwork was weak, and you get a notice of proposed termination. This brings us to mistakes 5 and 7. Let's start with 7, the lone wolf approach. This is the emotional mistake. You get that termination notice, you feel attacked, and you think, I know the truth, I'll just explain it to them.
So you write a letter. Dear OWCP, this isn't fair. I'm really hurt.
And that letter, legally speaking, goes right in the trash. The bureaucracy doesn't care about fair. It cares about evidence and statutes. Navigating this alone is like trying to fly a 747 because you've been a passenger before.
You don't know the controls. You're going to crash.
You're going to crash. And that crash is mistake number 5, the failure to rebut. The playbook calls this single biggest mistake of all.
This is it, the point where the game is won or lost.
Absolutely. You get that notice of proposed termination. The key word there is proposed. It hasn't happened yet. They fired a warning shot. You have 30 days.
The 30-day window, the clock is officially ticking.
Starts the date on that letter. And most people, they freeze or they write that emotional letter. What you need to do is build a formal rebuttal package.
Let's drill down here. This is the core strategy. What is the actual goal of this package? We're not just trying to say, nuh-uh.
No. The goal is extremely specific. Your one and only goal is to create a conflict of medical opinion.
Public, yes.
Under Federal Law 5 U.S.C. 8123, if there's a clear disagreement between the government's doctor and your treating doctor, the OWCP can't just pick the one they like better.
So they can't just side with their own guy.
They can't. The law says they must appoint a third impartial doctor to break the tie.
This is the referee exam.
That is the holy grail. The referee is an independent medical examiner. They are neutral. If you can force a referee exam, you have a real chance. If you don't, the SECOP report stands and you lose.
Okay, so how do we build the package to force that conflict? The playbook lists 4 parts. First, the treating physician's report.
This has to be a point-by-point takedown. Your doctor reads the SECOP report and just dismantles it. If the SECOP says no objective findings of nerve damage, your doctor has to write incorrect. The EMG from March 4th clearly shows radiculopathy. It has to be that specific.
Component number 2, and the guide calls this a hack, is new diagnostic tests.
This is a brilliant strategy. It really is.
Oh.
If you can get a new MRI or a new nerve study done after your SECOP exam,
The timing matters that much.
it changes the entire legal landscape. Because of something called probative value, the SECOP doctor's opinion is now based on incomplete information.
Because they never saw that new scan.
Exactly. Legally, a report that doesn't consider all the available evidence has less weight. You've effectively neutralized their report. It's obsolete.
That is huge. So if you get a bad report, your first call should be to get a new scan.
If you can, absolutely.
Okay, component 3, the personal statement.
This is where you correct the factual errors. We talked about the parking lot or the how are you feeling trap. If the report says patient walked without pain, you write, this is incorrect, I was leaning on the wall. You challenge their narrative of events.
And finally, component 4, the formal request.
You don't just ask politely, you demand your rights. You literally write, I request a referee exam under 5 U.S.C. Section A123 due to the conflict of medical opinion.
You use the legal code.
You use the code. It signals to the claims examiner that you know the rules and you are not going away.
This all sounds incredibly effective, but
Yeah.
let's be real, it also sounds incredibly hard. I don't know many family doctors who know how to cite the U.S. code.
And that's the Achilles heel. Your family doctor might be an amazing healer, but they probably don't know how to write a medico-legal rebuttal for the Department of Labor. If they write a vague letter, you lose.
Which brings us to the source behind this playbook. This info is coming from a group called Restore Muscle and Joint, also known as Federal Injury Centers. They're based in Kansas City and St. Louis. What's their story?
Well, it really starts with the founder, Troy Pearson. His backstory is the key. He wasn't just some administrator, he was a letter carrier for the USPS for 7 years.
So he's been on the route. He knows what that mailbag feels like on your shoulder every day.
He knows the physical toll, and as a member of NALC Branch 30, he saw the bureaucratic toll. He watched his colleagues get injured and then just get crushed by the paperwork. So he built a model to solve that lone wolf problem.
Because usually, the medical team and the claims team are totally separate.
Right, and they don't talk. Restore Muscle and Joint integrates them. They have the medical team, like Dr. Kendra Pearson, but they also handle the claim strategy side.
So that rebuttal package we talked about, they actually build it for you.
Yes. They're the ones ordering the new MRI to create that new evidence. They're writing the narrative reports that cite the specific conflicts. They basically act as the pilot for the plane.
They make sure the paperwork actually matches the medical reality.
Which is the hardest part. And it transforms the patient from being a victim of the system into someone who's actively participating, armed with the right document.
It's fascinating that their whole model is built just for federal employees, postal workers, TSA, VA, IRS.
It's a niche, but it's a massive one. And it requires that specialized knowledge. Normal healthcare, its goal is to cure you. Federal workers' comp healthcare.
Its goal is to cure you while proving you have the legal right to be cured.
That is it. That is the profound distinction. And it puts a heavy, heavy burden on someone who is already suffering.
It does. It feels unfair. It feels adversarial. But as we've seen, ignoring that reality doesn't make it go away.
Not at all.
So if we boil all this down, for the listener who might be driving their mail truck right now or sitting in the break room at the VA, what is the one big takeaway?
The takeaway is, do not be passive. The OWCP system is designed to move in one direction, closing claims. And silence is viewed as acceptance. If you get a proposed termination and do nothing, it becomes final.
And the deadlines are real.
The deadlines are fatal. That 14-day window, the 30-day window, they are not suggestions. They are legal cliffs. But if you know they're there, you can navigate around them.
So you're not just a patient anymore. You're the project manager for your own recovery.
Exactly. And you need a team. Whether that's an OWCP savvy doctor, a really knowledgeable union rep, or a group like Restore Muscle and Joint. Just don't go lone wolf.
I want to leave you with one last thought today. We tend to think of medical expertise as, the hands of a surgeon or the eye of a diagnostician.
The person with the stethoscope.
Right. But in the federal system, there's this second layer of expertise that is just as life-saving, the ability to wield a pen.
That's so true. A brilliant surgeon can fix your shoulder, but if they can't write the report the right way, the government won't pay for it.
It just makes you wonder how many legitimate, painful injuries are out there right now going untreated, not because the medicine doesn't exist.
But because the paperwork wasn't perfect?
Too many, I'm sure. Sometimes the most important instrument in a doctor's bag isn't the scalpel. It's knowing the rules of the game well enough to protect their patient.
Couldn't have said it better.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Check your sources, watch those deadlines, and we'll see you next time.